Well, bowling fans, we're back. Motion Plus Lanes in Cudahy is the site this year, the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun Invitational. 32 of the best high school boy bowlers, 32 of the best high school girl bowlers in the state of Wisconsin. We brought them here today, Joey. We've got it down to the final 4 in each division, and it's going to take a lot of strikes to win these matches out here today, I'm thinking.
Well, it may, and it all depends on how the pattern breaks down and the lanes play, but we definitely have some quality players out here.
And a pretty unique format this year for the Top Gun Invitational Finals. The semifinal match, 3 bowlers. The bowlers have finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in qualifying. Winner of that match takes on the top seed, and could be pretty interesting watching those 3-player shootouts, something a little different on TV.
Well, it's going to take a big score, too, because you got 3 quality players going at it, and it's a 1-game match, which we know goes by pretty quick.
Absolutely. We're going to start today off with the boys' semifinal match here from Motion Plus Lanes. Join us for that in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Success has to be earned. Earned through hard work and dedication. There is no easy road. There are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, get focused, and outwork your competition. Go earn it. Get motivated.
Proprietor here at Motion Plus Lanes, Kerry Catania, getting this match started off as he always does here. High fives to the competitors. 3-way shootout here between Brent Boho, Lane Madison, Steve Majeski. High bowler out of this game advances to the #1 seed, Billy Hibbard. In our boys championship match, we'll have our girls semifinal and final matches after the boys are complete here. And we've got 200 Brent Boho leading things off.
Yeah, a familiar face from Marquette High School. Almost at Marquette University.
Well, it is Marquette University High School, and no matter how you say it, Brent Boho is going to throw strikes out here today.
Brent, yeah, the over and under on strikes for Brent, I would say, should be 8. And typically he's over that number.
Yeah. Last time out here, though, not much success for Brent Boho. He bowled in the mixed doubles tournament and didn't strike once on his 5 shots on TV, so now looking to get a little revenge on that. Lane Madison out of Menominee Falls High School with a weak 10-pin to start off with.
Yeah, kind of a soft 10, but a nice physical game, as we see. Solid at the line, good extension at the follow-through. Yeah, definitely the ball didn't finish through the pins the way you'd like to see it.
Yeah, Lane has been working a lot on his game over the last couple of years. Made some big jumps in this game, and unfortunately needs to make a little bigger jump on his 10-pin conversions because a big early miss there for Lane Madison.
So he's at Menominee Falls High School, Lane is. Coach Wally Wright?
Coach Wally Wright.
Wally was just in the pro shop this morning, in fact.
Yeah, getting his boys ready to go to high school state as we speak. That tournament will be happening very soon. Steve Majeski up, freshman out of Oak Creek High School.
Freshman who's been throwing lots of big scores as of late, and a great shot from Steve on his opening frame. Steve been bowling since age 7.
Yeah, 300 game under his belt already. High series so far, 751. Bowls in a nice program they have down at Classic Lanes Oak Creek. Part of the youth program there. It's gotten quite bigger over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
In fact, all 3 competitors in this opening match have 300 games under their belt. And a big opening double from Brent. I think he's sending an early message.
Absolutely. He wants this tournament. Last time you saw him was in our Sunset Adult Youth Doubles in our last show. Title under his belt with that tournament, looking for 2 in a row.
Yeah, we'll see if Lane makes the necessary adjustment to carry that soft 10-pin he left in the opening frame.
I like the way he's just soft with his hand out of release.
He threw a messenger at a fly at the 10-pin, just in case it had any thoughts of not falling.
Yeah, let's take a look at that replay here, because I think there's only 1 point of contact with that head pin. Up 2 before it would have gotten to the 10-pin, but quite impressive by Lane Madison there. You see, even though he gets a lot of revs, a lot of speed in that ball, you see a hand very open at the bottom of his release.
Well, that's the modern day release. Players like to open their hand at release point as he trips the 4-9 out from Steve. They don't want to get grabby. They don't want to pull it and yank it, and grabbing can cause that.
Yeah.
That open hand release lessens that.
Yeah, and that's where you get results like this, where the 2-pin comes off the sideboard, takes out the 4 and the 9, and keeps Steve Mashesky tied in the lead with Brent Boho.
Brent using a Storm IQ Tour, kind of a benchmark type rolling ball, very smooth, very even, and his messenger went in front of that 5-pin.
He's just shaking his head, staring it down right there, going, how can that stand up? But I think another pin and the ball hit the 5 at the same time. Let's watch in the replay here, and that was the case.
Sure, kind of paralyzed that 5, threw it a little bit left of where it started.
Should have no problem covering up the spare. Gets that ball going down lane, nice and easy, no problem covering it up.
Yeah, we can't always explain bad pin carry sometimes. We're throwing a round object that kind of round pins, and they don't always fall the way they're intended to.
I want to thank once again MOTIV for their sponsorship of the Top Gun Invitational this year. Another strike there for Lane Madison.
Yeah, you can see Lane got that a little further right just to help it drive a little stronger in the back portion of the lane. I think that soft 10-pin he left in the opening stanza was more of an anomaly than a normal pinfall for Lane.
Yeah, and unfortunately that open frame, instead of leaving him down by just 10 or 11 pins, has him down right now by over 20, and a bad break there for Steve.
Bad break for Steve, a little bit more direct on that, and ball finished very nicely, but sometimes the ball finishes too strong. That 4-pin just did not do its thing.
Well, he has a much lesser entry angle than we see out of the other two players, and sometimes that little bit of a flatter entry angle helps contribute to those stuffed 7-pins as he gets real close to that foul line there, covers up the spares. We get into our first commercial break of the day. MOTIV Top Gun Invitational Boys Semifinal. More action coming to you from Motion Plus Lanes in just a couple of minutes. And the bowlers bowl through the commercial break to keep on time. Brent Boho steps up in the 4th frame. No problem flushing 10 pins back in the pit. Lane Madison steps up looking for 3 in a row of his own. Soft out of the hand, and he kicks the 10-pin out.
It's a turkey for Lane.
He's trying to get back in this match. Steve Mashesky, little high, comes up, leaves a 4-9 split, but gets himself settled back down, lines himself up, and has no problem covering up the spare.
Well done. Staying with his strike ball.
Brent Boho looking to get a double on the board here, and he gets that 10-pin out in the 5th. Lane Madison stepping up, looking to get his string out to 4 in a row. Comes up a tad bit high, leaves a 3-6-10.
So you fed the ball a little to the friction area a little early. Ball read up. Makes the spare, no problem.
And Steve Mashesky trying to stay within a dozen pins of our leader Brent Boho. Comes back, leaves that weak 10. There's no problem moving to the left side of the lane, throwing that polyester ball and covering it up. And as we get back to the current action here, Brent Boho taking a nice lead, at least a dozen pins over both of his opponents.
That rapid fire bowling kind of reminded me of a Facebook video with Tom Doherty throwing a 300 game, crossing 12 different lanes with 4 different bowling balls, but all the same type.
And it took him less than 2 minutes, if I remember correctly?
Yes, it did.
If you haven't seen that video on YouTube yet, go check it out. Pretty neat watching PBA Pro Tom Doherty throw that perfect game across 12 lanes. And another strike for Brent Boho, gets a string out to 3 in a row. Expands his lead out to 23 pins over Lane Madison and Stephen Mashesky.
Well, Brent knows if he keeps striking, he'll be hard to beat. In fact, he'll be impossible to beat. And that was a good 10-pin. Kind of a soft 10, but it ripped the rack nonetheless.
Yeah, you just see that 6-pin just kind of unusually just fall over to the right, not do much of anything.
Yeah, we saw a little deflection from the ball upon entry, and typically only the bowler knows how well it came off their hand, and I don't think that was as clean as typical for Lane.
Covers up. And you see these kids, they're getting smarter nowadays. They're watching the way the ball goes through the pocket. They're watching what happens when the ball gets all the way through the pin deck, and they're making their adjustments off of what that pin action is, not just what the ball is doing at a certain part of the lane.
Well, and that's something when we were younger, we were never taught. You never were told to watch the ball go through the pins. You either threw it good or you didn't. But nowadays, if that ball is deflecting on your best release, it's not going to get better. You have to make a ball change or a release change.
Yeah, Steve Majewski, a nice strike. Notice his toes getting a little close to the foul line, so I don't know if he's getting a bit amped up or... You know, sometimes it happens. Bowlers, it's his first time he's been in this situation. Bowling on television. So sometimes the steps get a little longer or get a little quicker.
Well, the adrenaline gets pumping. I think that can increase one's tempo sometimes. Pretty close on that slide to the foul line as well.
Yeah, Brent Boho gets himself another strike on the board, gets his string out to 4 in a row. Extends his lead out to 34 pins over Lane Madison and 33 over Stephen Majewski.
So if you stick at the line and go over the line, Phil, ball in hand, and fall down, is that a foul?
If you don't let go of the bowling ball before recrossing the foul line, it is not a foul.
That is correct. So you could slide all the way down to the head pin, and if you don't let go of the ball, it's technically not a foul.
Technically not a foul. We had that situation a couple of years ago with Ryan Zagar on a show from Castle Lanes and Racine where wasn't happy with his release, grabbed on the ball and stepped onto the gutter capping, but because he held onto the bowling ball, it was not a foul.
Yeah, and that's pretty quick thinking on his part because it's not always easy to gather yourself and stay balanced and stand on the gutter cap.
Exactly. I mean, we saw a disaster situation of that a couple of years back with Josh Blanchard at the World Series of Bowling.
Yeah, he had a nasty fall, slipped on the oil, and kind of landed right in his tailbone on the edge of the lane.
Yeah, not pretty, but he's made a good bounce back from that. And
how does that not fall? That was a good release from Steve. Got some good pin action, but
that was about 7.45 degrees of tilt because a pin needs 7.5 degrees to fall over according to USPC standards, and that was pretty darn close.
Yeah, you're right. That was about 1/8 of an inch off, maybe less.
Oh. Get himself this spare here, getting into the commercial break. Last break for this game. We'll be back with our final 3 frames here for Motion Plus Lanes for the boys semifinals in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned. Well, Brent Boho with a pretty significant lead here with 3 frames to go, up at least 32 pins over his opponents, but as we've seen in the past, Joey, no lead is safe.
Well, no, you can be penalized on a great shot, such as a pocket 7-10 we see more and more often, or a solid 9.
Oh. Yeah, you can see there Brent not happy with that result. Ball drove a little bit too hard on the back end. It did look like he missed slightly left on that shot, was hoping to get that ball to hold all the way through target. 2 pin comes off the sideboard, just doesn't quite get over to the 9.
Well, I mean, you got 3 right-handers here, and they're all higher rev rate, so they're kind of beating up that oil pattern. And we know oil dissipates as well as carries down.
Well, Brent's maximum right here would be 258 if he can strike out, so nobody can touch him if he can get the last 4 in a row. Lane Madison stepping up here in the 8th frame. Goes high.
Yeah, that might have been an overcompensation for that soft 10 pin he left the frame before on that lane.
So he'll get himself back together here. It looks like it's going to be a tough finish here for Lane. He's going to have problems catching up to Brent Boho, but then he also would have to pass Steve Majewski as well to get into that number 1 seed. Advance from this match against our top seed, Billy Hibbert, in our boys championship match.
Well, Steve has a 5-pin cushion on Lane in the 7th frame if he does strike on the shot on the 8th. So mathematically, he is still in the match, as they both are.
Yeah, 236 maximum here. Stephen Majewski, if he can get 5 in a row here between 8, 9, and 10, and that's a good way to start it off.
Yeah, high flush, and you're right. Maximum score for Steve would be 236, which could put a little pressure on Brent to at least mark in one of the final frames.
So, Brent Boho stepping up, bouncing back off of that solid 9 pin he just left. Very unique at the setup there. Leaves that hand on the side of the ball.
All right, broken wrist to start, but gets it in a strong position before release. And ho-hum from solid 9 to solid 8.
And you just hear the air come out of the crowd right there as Brent leaves that 8 pin.
Right? But
Can't believe it.
All the bowler can do is be pleased with himself right during and through release. There's not much we can do about pin carry sometimes.
Yeah, now it's just make the spare, stay ahead of everybody, and move on to the 10th frame. That needs some help to hold, and that was just left out of the way.
Yeah, and with that high rev rate he puts on it, and it does appear as though he stayed with his strike ball. And typically a pocket shot will take out the 8 pin.
Yeah, so he just pulled it left on this lane condition. Not a lot of hold in the middle. It's the usual tournament shot here we have at Motion Plus Lanes. So if you start that ball right to left, it has a tendency to keep moving left on you. And as you saw there for Lane, same thing.
That looked good off his hand, so that's telling me that all that oil in the mid lane to late mid lane is no longer there. And it's going to take either more speed or a little steeper angle through the front part of the lane to maintain the pocket.
Well, our top seed, Billy Hibbard, checking things out. He'll get some practice where he comes on the pair, but you always know things are different than when you bowled on him earlier in the day, and especially with 3 bowlers bowling one game at the same time, it's really going to make these lanes change.
Yeah, but all these kids, they seem to know how to move around on the approach with feet and target, as Steve gets a big double, and that is going to get this match a lot closer since Brent opened in the 9th.
Well, basically right now, whatever Brent does in the 10th frame, Steve Majeski can match to tie. So if Brent goes off the sheet for 236, that's what Steve Majeski can get as well if he gets all 3 strikes in the 10th. He's got to bounce back off that bad mental mistake last time. And almost another 9 pin.
Almost back-to-back 9s, and it did look as though he bumped in a little bit with his feet.
So it's going to take a little bit of a bigger move, I think, for Brent on this next shot. I'm sure he'll be moving the feet left.
Well, you would hope. I mean, you don't want to leave a stone a 9 pin here and cost yourself a potential win.
You can see here, already just almost hugging the ball return. Close to that foul line and gets all 10 to go down.
Catches the double.
Knows he got a little break on that one. He was a little bit fast on his speed and managed to get the 6 pin to slap the 10 out. Hard working ball though.
So this Phil shot here is, pardon my pun, Phil, but very important.
Yeah, this forces Steve Majeski to double and get whatever Brent gets here for a tie. And, well, Brent...
That was a big shot, because if he gets an 8 or a 9, I mean, that he could lose.
Majeski could have passed him, but right now the worst Brent Boho's looking at is a tie with Stephen Majeski. If Majeski can get all 3 in the 10th, Lane Madison here just trying to get out of the bowler's way. He's going to be 4th place overall today in the MOTIV Top Gun tournament. He's taking home a nice Visa gift card thanks to our friends at MOTIV Bowling.
Yeah, we're going to see more of Lane, I think, in the future. He's got a nice physical game. He's a tall drink of water, strong kid.
Yeah, no doubt. Really has been working on his game. And part of that great team they got up at Menominee Falls High School. Can't quite tickle that 7 pin down.
Yeah, bad break there, but still a good shot nonetheless. And with a spare, his conversion will be a 198 game.
That's not bad for your first time on TV.
But not really reflective of how well he threw the ball.
Well, we had 32 of the best high school bowlers, boys from across the state participating today to make the Final 4 on TV, so that was a pretty solid field that Lane had to get himself through to get here. And now, well, it's a big test for a high school freshman here. You have to step up in the 10th frame and get 3 strikes to tie.
Well, he's throwing good shots on this lane. He needs to maintain his speed.
He's really, really close to that foul line, Joe.
He's very close, but he catches the first one. Huge shot right there. I mean, Steve is aware of what he needs, correct?
Absolutely. He took a second look at that scoreboard before he stepped up, and I know he was consulting with his dad in the stands before stepping up in the 10th frame. Once again, just behind that foul line, and he gets the second one to fall.
Almost a solid 7. Good break for Steve, and he seems to be handling the pressure rather well.
Yeah, for 14 years old, first time in the situation on TV. This is a good way to keep building the career here.
Yeah, some of these kids look like seasoned veterans, and at age 14.
Here it is. The forcer off of Brent Boho, and he's fouled, Joey. He gets all 10 down, but it's not going to count because I don't think he realizes he's fouled yet.
No, but he threw a great shot off the hand.
He doesn't realize he's fouled, and as we go to the replay here, we're going to get a couple of angles, and you can see right there, definitely, he's on top of it on that one. From the side angle here, definitely over the foul line. And unfortunately for Steve Majeski, it's going to knock him out of advancing into the championship match.
Yeah, that is a heartbreaking way to be eliminated.
Yeah, Brent Boho, Billy Hibbert are going to be your championship finalists here for the MOTIV Top Gun 2015 edition. We'll be back from Motion Plus Lanes and Cudahy with that in just a couple of minutes.
Success has to be earned. Earned through hard work and dedication. There is no easy road. There are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, get focused, and outwork your competition. Go earn it. Get motivated.
Cudahy Catania starting things off here for the MOTIV Top Gun Invitational Boys Championship match. Brent Boho taking on our top seed Billy Hibbert. Brent getting a pretty big break at the end of the semifinal match. And Steve Majeski fouling to end a roll-off possibility. And tell you what, two of the best bowlers in District 1 right here in Milwaukee and Waukesha counties. Billy Hibbert second with almost a 90% fill rate. Brent Boho ninth in District 1 with an 87% fill rate. For those of you that don't know what fill rates are, it's the number of strikes, the number of spares you get, percentage of those as compared to open frames that you leave.
And we all, if you're a 90% fill rate, you are marking in 9 of every 10 frames you bowl, and we all know that can be challenging at times.
Well, especially because high school is only the Baker format, so you're only bowling 2 frames per game. So there's no real way to average out your score as an individual, so that's why they use the fill percentage to figure out how well you're bowling.
I mean, what makes it easier is you are on one lane for a while, but rather than crisscrossing from left lane to right lane, makes it a little easier, but it's still so easy to get an open as Billy crumbles the 2-4-5.
That easily could have been an open frame, and he's got a little smirk on his face on the way back. Watch that headpin come off the wall and just basically slice through the 2, 4, and 5 pins to knock him down.
Yeah, well, I mean, both these kids are definitely known for their power games. They put a good amount of revs on the ball, but they are above average spare shooters as well.
Absolutely. You don't get to those near 90% fill rates without making a bunch of your spares, and unfortunately for Billy, he's going to have a pretty tough spare attempt here with a 2, 4, and 10.
And Billy may have learned something on that shot. You can see he looks a little more pensive. He may have kept it in the oil a little too long and realized, okay, the volume's a little heavy if I keep it direct. I need to kind of feed that ball to the right to get it to recover properly.
So I go a little right to left on that. Doesn't quite get it across the front of the 2 pin enough to get the 10 out.
Yeah, that was a good attempt, though. I mean, and that's a tough split to make with a spare ball or a strike ball. You got to hit it just perfect.
That's probably for a bowler of Billy or Brent's ability, 1 in 6, 1 in 7 on converting that 2, 4, 10, I would think. 1 in 7 attempts.
Right. If your name is Jason Belmonte, it's probably 1 in 2. 50% he probably makes that.
Big double there for Brent Boho. Knows how huge it is to take advantage of your opponent's open frame. And he does it right there with just flush in the pocket, 10 back. And that's the lane he was having some issues with 9 pins on.
Right.
For the semifinal.
Why don't you describe this pattern a little bit more in detail, Phil, of what the kids are on right now?
Well, it's about a 5-to-1 ratio pattern. It's 40 feet in length. So a good 20 feet of dry on the back end. Doesn't really favor any particular style. You can see straighter players like we saw with Steve Majeski last game, and you see with crankers like Brent and Billy Hibbert here. You can play anywhere in the lane. It's just a matter of as the lanes transition, there's not a high volume at the end of the pattern, so you really have to make some pretty quick moves to stay with it. We've seen that before with our action heating and cooling tournaments on the same pattern. You can get some higher scores, but those bowlers have to be pretty consistent with their speed and making adjustments. And
Brent avoids the chop there. It's almost like he was trying to chop it.
Doesn't it seem like it when you're bowling sometimes and you think you make the perfect shot off your hand, and you feel it, you go, oops, that's going to chop?
Well, if it enters your mind, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And we were up at Willow Creek one time, Phil, and a customer of ours was having a tough day. And Billy throws this a little high in the pocket. But long story short, he chopped 5 consecutive 6-10s. The next time he left one, I said, Bob, try and chop it. Line up and try and chop the 6 off the 10. And he goes, well, why would I want to do that? I go, because nobody's that accurate. You'll make it one way or another. So he tried to chop it, and he made it.
There you go. So coaching advice from Joe Surratt today, always try to chop your spares. Odds are you're not going to do it.
Well, that is if you have 5 consecutive chops prior to that.
Billy Hibbard, well, he can't chop a single pin, so he gets that spare covered up, leaves himself down.
19 pins down, and you don't want to be any pins down to Brent Boho.
Nope. Going with that gold ball, I believe that's an IQ Tour. Winner of this match is taking home a MOTIV bowling ball of their choice and a $150 Visa gift card, thanks to our friends at MOTIV Bowling.
And Billy, for the second time on that left lane, is seeing a little bit of hesitation from his ball in hand to make the corner. And that's not too common for Billy. He's got a good rev rate, good amount of axis rotation.
And no give me on this spare here with the 2-8 combination. Gets it covered up, does so nicely. Well, with that spare, Brent Boho stays in the lead by 21 pins. Can extend it to 31 before the commercial break if he can strike in the 4th and 5th as we watch Billy Hibbard's textbook conversion of the 2-8 spare.
And stayed with his strike ball to cover that, which is normally a good move when you have a sleeper pin behind the front pin.
It takes a little extra accuracy you need to make it 2-8 with a spare ball, but bad break there for Brent Boho. Gets enough stuff rattling around the 7-pin, but nothing wants to take it out.
Yeah, and normally the thumbless players and the high rev guys, they carry those mixers more often than a straighter player. So he stays with his strike ball and should be able to just curve the lane and get it right in there.
Yeah, he has to watch out for starting the ball too far left at a single pin. We saw him miss an 8-pin earlier in the day, and, well, that's the exact opposite there.
Well,
started too far right, and it just burned out on him.
But if you're going to miss it big, right? Don't miss it by a quarter inch. It stings a little less.
That ball would have been probably flush in the pocket if the head pin was still there. That's as bad as, unfortunately, he missed it. Now, that big lead he just had, starting to evaporate down to 9 pins.
Well, maybe Brent likes to do that. Let your opponents back in a little bit, and it forces him to work a little harder.
He just wants to try to stay clutch as he does that with the strike getting into the commercial break for this game. We'll be back the rest of this boys championship for the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun in just a couple of minutes. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Boys Championship for the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun coming to you from Motion Plus Lanes in Cudahy. Billy Hibbard looking to get into the lead in this match for the first time if he can pull a double off here in the 5th and 6th frames. Boy, that one just read early.
Red early is right, and we saw that a little bit in our first match. So there's some defined friction right of the oil, which can make throwing a pearl, like Billy has in hand, tricky.
Well, and if you think about this, Lane Madison, pretty high rev player. Brent Boho, we know, is a high rev player. Billy, a high rev player. It's not quite the Belmonte effect we hear people talking about nowadays with the high rev rates of these two-handers, but it doesn't take a lot with these aggressive bowling balls for oil to get pulled off the lane pattern.
Well, that's it, and every spare thrown creates more oil carry down, and that's where you can be really fooled, where you see early hook on one shot, and then a ball that kind of wiggles on the back part of the lane and doesn't make a move, which is kind of what Billy is seeing on this left lane. Let's see if he makes the adjustment. Stays inside, uses the pearl, throws it perfectly. Gets 10 back.
Just a matter of finding that pretty fine line right now for both bowlers in order to get out there and score.
That's why today's game can be so challenging, and it's so easy to shoot, say, an above-average game and then shoot a below-average game within minutes of each other. I mean, it's common you see a 230 then a 160 or a 250 and a 190 because of lane transition. And that was a good shot.
Great shot there, just unfortunately for Brent Boho. Wraps that 6-pin around the 10, and we've got ourselves quite a battle here for this boys' championship. MOTIV bowling ball of the bowler's choice and a $150 Visa gift card on the line along with that championship medal today. And we want to thank our friends at MOTIV Bowling for all their support of our winter swing here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel for all of our youth events and high school events this time around.
Right on that single pin spare that time. He took a spare ball out. And we're not seeing the high carry percentage that you would think we would see actually from either player.
Yeah, they're getting in the pocket. It's just a matter of getting, for both bowlers, the 7-pin and the 10-pin out.
Right, and both of these players have authored 800 series. Brent with his 833, as you just showed with the graphic, and Billy, a high series of 821, and Brent leading another soft 10-pin, and that ball didn't finish through the pins the correct way. It kind of deflected a little bit.
Yeah, watch the replay as you just mentioned, Joey. You can see that ball basically through the 9-pin spot when it got to the back of the pin deck. So switches to that polyester ball. Still uses two hands.
Right, and that's for a high rev player. When a high rev player starts seeing deflection, they have to shell down. In other words, go to a weaker cover stack and a weaker core so the ball just doesn't burn up as much too early.
Billy Hibbert with a big chance here to jump back in this match. Crawls a little high, and ooh, that could be game over here.
And again, that's the lane that he's seeing way more friction than he is on the left. And I think he liked it off his hand, but it just didn't get it done.
And yeah, you can see he thought he threw it well as he started walking on a little bit, and a tough reaction. Leaving that 410. He's giving it a ride here, and how about that, Joey?
You know, that was textbook coverage right there. And that's not easy to do when you're hooking it.
No, and you know, a little low 5 there from his opponent, Brent Boho. You got to give credit where credit is due, and a great shot there by Billy Hibbert to keep himself within 10 pins in this game.
I think both players know that this is a 50-50 match for them. You know, they're going to bowl 100 times. They're each going to win 50. And Billy, on his good lane, he got it a little wide, but he's deep enough. And he got length. And again, that lane has a little more oil. Yeah,
where on lane 10, if the bowlers are getting it wide a little bit early, it's overreacting and coming through the nose. So I'm sure Billy's going to appreciate he gets to finish on lane 9 in this match when he steps up in the 10th frame.
Well, that's important.
And right now, both bowlers can finish in the 220s at a minimum if they can strike out. Brent with a 10-pin lead here, but needs to keep the gas pedal going. And a nice shot, bouncing back off those back-to-back 10 pins.
Much better shot.
So only a couple more weeks left this season for the Spare Time Bowling Radio Show. Have some special guests in. We're going to have a little series talking about who we think the best all-time on the PBA Tour is, whether Belmonte's possibly already taking that crown away from other bowlers, or whether it's still Walter Ray Williams or Earl Anthony or many of them out there.
Or Johnny Petraglia or Don Carter or Dick Weber. Mark Roth, he won 6 titles in 1 year, if I remember correctly.
I believe it was 8, if I remember
8
correctly.
Titles. That's even better.
1977, he did that. So there should be some pretty spirited discussion, some good PBA guests on the Spare Time Bowling Show. And if you can't listen to it live on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., you can always catch the podcasts on 105.7 FM, thefan.com.
Our friend Dwight Albrecht, one of the commentators.
Yeah. Get to sit in studio with Dwight every Sunday morning with him and Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, and always some pretty spirited discussion on what's going on with the PBA Tour, high school bowling, college bowling. So we'll have a little bit of a focus on that as well the next couple of weeks, with the PBA Tour being off TV for a couple of weeks.
And Billy knows that was his shot to make things happen, and on the drier lane, he didn't get it to recover. So he may have made too big of a move or whatever, but he kind of knows this match is slipping away right there.
Yeah, spare here, keep that going, but he is going to need to strike out here to put any pressure on Brent Boho. Brent's maximum right now, 224. Best Billy can do here, 194 with striking out. So that would just force Brent to really
get a mark
in the 10th.
Well, he is on his good lane. I mean, if you consider, let's see, 1, 2, 3 strikes in the first 9 frames for Billy, that's not a good outing.
No, but they've all been on this lane over here. Needs to roll up, and another light 7-pin we've seen on lane 9. It's at least the 4th one we've seen so far today, Joey.
Sure.
And that's just going to end any hope for Billy Hibbert of taking this 2015 MOTIV Top Gun Invitational Championship. And still not a bad day for Billy. I mean, we brought in 32 of the best boys from around the state. He's going to finish 2nd place. He's going to take home a MOTIV bowling ball at his choice and a $50 Visa gift card, thanks to our friends at MOTIV Bowling.
Well, what do you think the odds are of Billy giving that MOTIV ball to Dad? 0?
I think his brother would have a better shot at it, Matt, than Dad would. But actually, I think Mom would have the best shot in the family of all the Hibberts. I think Mom's got the best shot at getting that ball.
That is if Billy gives it up.
That's true. So Danielle in the crowd cheering him on, and his
Billy strikes out for 183.
And right now, yeah, it's just stay behind the foul line and chuck it for Brent Boho, and he's going to take home the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun Invitational title, finishing off his high school career big here. As a senior, he's going to go to St. Ambrose University in Iowa.
Oh, our friend, the human pretzel,
Kyle
is
Anderson.
at St. Ambrose.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson is senior at St. Ambrose this year, so they won't cross paths. Kyle will be graduating. But
Messenger falls short there. But Brent does want to give a shout out to Mom and Dad. Very appreciative of them driving him to this tournament in the snow today.
yes, indeed. A little winter weather as we tape this, so everybody made it here safely. Always a good thing. And
Notice the broken wrist before he takes his first step, but hand in a strong position at release.
I would love to see what Brent looks like bowling one-handed one time, just to see if he could pull it off. Because he's always been a two-hander since he started bowling.
Then he'd probably look as bad as we look when we throw two-handed.
Most likely.
Maybe not. Osco looks pretty good one-handed, as does Belmonte.
That's true.
And
So
Walter Ray looks pretty good two-handed, considering he's over 50.
yeah, he's done quite well, and there we go. Two-handed champion Brett Boho, 203-183 over Billy Hibbert. Girls semifinal match coming up next for the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun Invitational from Motion Plus Lanes at Cudahy. Make sure you stay tuned.
Success has to be earned. Earned through hard work and dedication. There is no easy road. There are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, get focused, and outwork your competition. Go earn it. Get motivated.
Kerry Catania getting another match started here at Motion Plus Lanes. Looks like, it's a little dance move in there from Kerry before we start the girls semifinal. Cassie Hampshire, Erica Johnnet.
Well, he wants to loosen up the
yeah.
girls, and obviously anyone that sees Carrie dancing will find humor in that.
And that smile that's always on Kerry's face here at Motion Plus Lanes. Cassie Hampshire, Erica Johnnet, and our champion from 2013, Alyssa Athis. And we've got Cassie Hampshire starting us off. Bowls at Castle Lanes in Racine.
This tall girl, good approach, good balance, and a good result to start the match.
Yes, indeed. Bowls in high school for Walden III High School in Racine. So smaller school in the area.
It's a middle school and high school combination.
And our only lefty on the show today, Erica Johnnet, out of New Franken, Wisconsin. Bowls for Green Bay Preble High School during the high school season.
A little bit more speed and using a strong ball, a storm sink. So her side has been unplayed on today.
That is correct. There was only a couple lefties in the field today The 32 bowlers on the ladies' side. So relatively pristine all day long for her. And of course, with the lanes just oiled right before the boys started, nobody's been on the left side other than shooting at some spares, and a nice cover there for Erica. And our champion, last time we were at Shorewood High School in 2013, Alyssa Athis, bowls at Fricaro's in Waukesha, and one of our great tournament hosts for our TV events here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, Sunset Bowl.
A little more traditional down and in player, and a great opening shot. I thought that was going to strike, Phil.
Should have been 6 hit the 10 on the way around. You saw Alyssa earlier this season bowling with her Waukesha West girls team for the Eileen's Bowling Buddy Midwinter High School Classic from Castle Lanes and Racine. They took on New Berlin Eisenhower, lost a close match, and I'd have to say for Division I at high school state, the two teams to beat this year, Waukesha West and New Berlin Eisenhower, no doubt about that.
Very nice spear conversion from Alyssa.
And speaking of high school bowling, Motion Plus Lanes hosts the St. Francis High School boys and girls teams, and St. Francis girls made Division II high school state tournament.
Yes, they did. Congratulations.
So they got a pretty good shot at that Division II title. They got a tough team to beat, though, with Burlington High School, the defending champs, coming back this year.
And I wonder if the girls went to school with the previous match, realizing lane 10 hooking quite a bit stronger, as you can see Cassie breaking up that split compared to lane 9.
Yeah, great break there to just leave the 4-7.
Joey, thanks again.
Going cross lane at that spare. No problem covering it up.
All over the 4-7, cross lane.
So Cassie wanted to thank her mom driving her through the snow. Get her here to Motion Plus Lanes today.
Well, we do live in Wisconsin.
Yes,
so.
indeed. It's that time of the year, late February, early March. Still snow going on. Got to get your way through it. Erica bowls at Willow Creek Lanes and Riviera Lanes up in Green Bay, and a huge break there on that strike.
Coming just a pinch high.
A big break there for Erica Johnett. Get a replay, you can watch the angle coming in off the left side and just kind of caves everything in to the right. 4-7 and 6 and 10 both go to the right. Big break early on. Alyssa Athis stepping up, looking to keep this match pretty much even if she can throw a strike here on lane 10.
Alyssa's strategy today, according to her bio sheet, is don't suck, don't leave 10 pins. And that's normally a good strategy, because the more 10 pins you leave, even though you're in the pocket, you're not carrying, and that's not a good sign.
Well, she's 1 for 2 getting rid of the 10 pins right now. Kicked it out that time after leaving it in the first frame, with Cassie Hampshire stepping up in frame number 3.
Cassie, a high series of 666 with a 300 game. Don't know if that was the same day that she shot both, but with a high game of 300, you know this girl can string strike.
Absolutely, and this year she won the Racine Junior Masters Tournament, so that's always a good event. That's run by Red Chapman down at Castle Lanes in Racine, and Red Chapman, the newest inductee into the Racine Bowling Association Hall of Fame for meritorious service, so we want to congratulate him, and we also want to congratulate Ken Schwartz. We've seen his son and daughter, David,
kids, yes.
David and Stephanie, on our shows before. Ken inducted for exceptional performance for the Racine Bowling Association, so congratulations to both of those bowlers that do a lot of their bowling at Castle Lanes.
In fact, I just got a t-shirt from Stephanie for her bowling team. The name escapes me.
Stephen F. Austin.
There it is.
The
Stephen
Lady
F.
Jacks instead
The
of the
Lady
Lumberjacks.
Jacks.
Yes.
I offered some support for her team and a little fundraiser they had to promote their bowling program.
Yeah, they're having a good year down there in Nacogdoches, Texas, and someone from the Kenosha area.
Boy,
Amber
your
and Steve-
pronunciation is spot on today.
It's pretty good.
What was that?
Nacogdoches, Texas.
I am impressed, Phil.
It's between Houston and San Antonio. So nice shot there. We're going to get into our first commercial break of the day as we update our grammar here at the 2015 Motive Top Gun Invitational. Join Joe Serra and I back from Motion Plus Lanes for the rest of this girls' semifinal match. We had the young ladies continue bowling through the commercial break to keep on track here today. Cassie Hampshire sitting in third place this match right now, having a little problem once again with getting that ball to face the head pin properly. Leaves a 210. Gives it a good shot at the conversion, but not quite far enough left, and only gets one. Erica Johnett looking for 3 in a row after getting a lucky break on this lane earlier. 10 back in the pit that time,
Yeah,
Joey.
no lucky break on that one. That was a good shot, and she probably went to school on that one that came a little high.
Alyssa Athos keeps pace with Erica Johnett, throwing a turkey of her own.
Going at a 290 pace.
Cassie Hampshire gets herself back in the pocket after that open frame. With a great strike. Erica throwing it off that port side, gets herself 4 in a row.
Also going at a 290 pace.
And Alyssa Athos trying to keep up with Erica and does it with her own strike in the 5th. Lots of strikes getting thrown out there by the ladies.
Well, these girls are making the pattern look easier than the boys made it look.
Well, and we saw Steve Majeski in the opening boys match throw it relatively straight. Threw it in the 220s, I mean, other than that foul on the 12th ball.
Right, should have been 236.
And he gave Brent Boho a run for his money. These ladies all playing around where Steven was.
So there are times straighter is better, and no loss in pin carry, even with a straighter shot to the pocket.
Well, we've seen how many times in this tournament pattern Henry Teets make appearances here at Motion Plus Lanes and bowl really well. And we've even seen some players like Dave Lubinsky who can hook the whole lane, who play this pattern as straight as possible to keep the ball in play.
Look at all the credentials Dale Traber has, throwing it reasonably straight.
Absolutely.
Dale probably one of the more accurate players from Wisconsin ever.
Yes, indeed. And he's got the hardware to show it on his mantelpiece with the USBC Masters title, Senior Masters title a couple of years back.
Right, and Walter Ray, one of the better players, a top title holder in the PBA Tour, one of the straightest players.
So these ladies doing quite well. Erica Johnett gets herself out to 5 in a row. Alyssa Athos looking to match her.
Yeah, you saw that coming.
She just really came over the top of that shot. Tried giving it a little extra when she didn't have to, and we've seen lane 10 all day, hooking more than lane 9, and that ball just dives through, and that's an unusual leave.
Well, it's
with
unusual.
a 3-9.
Well, you know, it is and it isn't, because a lot of times we come high, we leave a 3-9-10, and the 10 pin just tipped out, but not an easy conversion.
No, definitely going to move to the left side of the approach here. Give yourself a little room to work with to hook into the 3 pin and get the 9 out, and you can't draw it up any better than that.
No, perfectly done, and she moves on, and then the match is pretty tight between her and Erica.
Yeah, right now, winner of this match advances to the girls' championship match against last year's champion for the MOTIV Top Gun Invitational, Brittany Burgess, waiting in the wings, looking to get 2 years in a row, and Alyssa Athos, our previous champion in 2012, so lots of good bowling still happening here. And a little light once again. Cassie's got a little over-under reaction, it seems like, right now.
Oh, yeah, that's going to hurt because not only a tough spare, but she needs to string some strikes to get back in the match mathematically. And that wasn't far off.
No, not at all. And Cassie, we know, is a quality bowler. Last year in the Steelwind Industries Kids Bowling for Kids tournament we had here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, she finished 3rd overall. Got herself a nice chunk of scholarship change thanks to her friends at the Steelwind Industries. Got to hold on and get both, and just too far left.
Came up and out of that one at the foul line. May have stuck a little bit, which doesn't do us any favors when it comes to balance.
Not at all. And want to thank the Wagner family of Trophy Athletic. All of our TV finalists today going to be receiving a medal thanks to MOTIV Bowling and Trophy Athletic. All your awards and needs you can get there. And a huge break. Oh, one through the nose and one on the crossover side.
And that turns a 4-bagger into a 5-bagger. And, you know, I mean, she's made a lot of good shots, but the bad shots haven't penalized her, which is kind of what you need to happen in a one-game match.
Yes, indeed. And especially with as tight as the competition is now, Alyssa Athos only about 10 pins behind right now if she can get a strike on this shot in the 7th frame.
She only missed the pocket 1 shot so far, and another one in the pocket. Game's not always fair, Phil. You bowl well, and sometimes you just don't get the cooperation we need from the pins.
Yeah, those corners sometimes just come up and bite you. You can see right there, ball goes through about the 9-pin spot. 6-pin doesn't do much.
Yeah, and that can be from, you know, perfect accuracy and speed, but maybe not getting the ball off your hand as cleanly as you need to.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Alyssa right there, that's going to leave a big open, give Erica Jennett a big lead, getting into our last commercial break for this match. We'll be back from Motion Plus Lanes. Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Blue Mountain Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Three frames to go here for the girls semifinal for the 2015 MOTIV Top Gun Invitational. And right now it looks to be kind of a runaway for Erica Jennett after Alyssa Athas just opened getting into the commercial break, missing a 10-pin, and Cassie Hampshire having some struggles finding the pocket consistently so far.
That was a great shot off her hand, but again, lane 10 comes back to bite you a little bit because it's got that friction spot.
Yeah, and especially if you're playing the lane right to left like Cassie Hampshire is right there. That ball, especially as aggressive as that cover stock is, I believe that's a Storm Crux. That's a pretty aggressive cover stock on that ball and core combination.
Right, and she was flush last time on this lane with that ball and a little light the frame before, so the lane is a little tricky.
Yeah, and that's going to firmly entrench Cassie in the third place in this match, fourth place overall, but even so, she's still going to be taking home a $50 Visa gift card and that award medal from Trophy Athletic, thanks to our friends at MOTIV Bowling. Erica Jennett stepping up, looking for another strike, and
that was a good shot off her hand, a solid 8-pin.
And you can tell that ball's driving even without a lot of entry angle like a Brent Boho or a Billy Hibbard. That ball's got a strong roll on it, getting in the pocket, goes right by the 8-pin, nothing even near.
Yeah, it's got a very heavy roll, which, when you're on a tough pattern, is normally a good combination. Keeps the ball from being unpredictable.
Especially if you got a little sensitivity with some dry boards out there. You heard Jason Belmonte talk about that when he was on the Players Championship telecast with, I got it right early and it was overhooking on him, and that was a tough pattern of less than a 2-to-1 ratio to show you how good those bowlers are finding the over-under, or in that case,
I found a way to make an easy pattern look tough, Phil.
I think we all have overtime.
And what's funny is then we bowl on our Flat Earth League where the pattern is tougher, and it played better because I threw it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that?
I think just the way people focus a little bit more when they know it's not a league-type pattern, and you might have a little extra money on the line with a tournament or some side wagering going on during league, and it gives you a little extra focus.
Yeah, you're in your home house as well, so focus is good. You know the approaches. You kind of know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But you're right. It seems when there's more room for error, sometimes you get a little sloppy. When there's a board or two to hit instead of 3 or 4, maybe you do focus more.
Yeah. No doubt about that. And right now for Cassie Hampshire, she's just trying to get out of the other lady's ways here.
But again, she's got a strong physical game. You know she's going to be back.
And she's only a junior this year at Walden III High School, so she'll have another year of high school competition waiting under her belt. Erica, I believe, is a senior at Preble High School.
Yeah, probably, yes. She's 18 years of age.
Needs to get some hold.
That was a good shot. And while that left side may be holding up a little better, since she is the lone lefty on that side today.
Yeah, I'm sure Brittany Burgess is hoping that she gets the lefty right now, just on the basis of won't be anybody to mess around with the oil on her side while she's in the championship match. Miss Athas looking to get another strike on the board, and that ball just kind of turned and rolled out on her.
A little bit, but she's had a couple 10 pins this game, as well as a bunch of strikes. But she keeps it right near that 1-3, and I think as she matures as a bowler, she'll increase that rev rate a little bit. And when you have accuracy and a little extra power, that's a good combination.
Yeah, Alyssa, senior this year at Arrowhead High School, but bowls for Waukesha West on the co-op team there. during competition, since Arrowhead, which is surprising, doesn't have a high school bowling team with all the other successful sports they have out at Arrowhead.
And that is surprising, and they've got such a beautiful locker room now. Not the fan of many competing schools, but that's almost a NBA type basketball locker room.
Yes, indeed. I saw that in the newspaper the other day, and there were quite a few opinions about that locker room placed out on Facebook. Why don't we get locker rooms like that in bowling centers? That'd be nice for us.
You know, I've seen one like that at the Detroit Athletic Club. A friend of ours, Tom Rayum, is the manager at the DAC, and it is beautiful. All oak cabinets, oak lockers, just beautiful.
Nice. I have to see some pictures of that sometime. Well, Cassie just got one more ball here to the 10th. She's going to finish in 4th overall here today out of the 32 bowlers that were invited on the girls' side here for the 2015 Motive Top Gun. Not a bad way to finish off her high school season. And I'm sure we'll see more of her next year during high school competition as well.
Did she finish on a good note? Oh, that should have been a strike.
If I can give it to her as tournament director, I would, but unfortunately the rules say I still have to give her 9, even on a great shot like that. So she finishes with 165. Erica basically just has to stay behind the foul line here with Alyssa Athis' maximum score.
And that's not an easy task. We had one player foul earlier, and it's nice to have approaches that aren't sticky, but sometimes it comes back to penalize you.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's see if Erica does a little line searching here on her last 2 balls. She's already locked up her way into the championship match against Brittany Burgess.
Well, she struck all but 2 shots so far, so... But you're right, she may make a little experiment.
That seemed to be a little more direct, and yeah, she definitely went right on that one.
I think she's going to go back to where she was.
So, well, big championship match. Motive bowling ball with the bowler's choice, plus a $150 Visa gift card to our champion today. Second place will get their own choice of a Motive bowling ball and a $50 Visa gift card. Alyssa Athis is going to be walking out here with a Motive bowling ball, so we once again want to thank Scott Hewitt and everyone at Motive Bowling for their support of our high school bowling this season here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. And Alyssa Athis is going to step up, try to finish off strong for her last couple of shots of her high school career.
I should mention Alyssa's high series, 708, with a high game of 277 with a question mark. So, Alyssa, you got to remember those high games.
Exactly. Well, hopefully she'll set one of those later on this year. We're going to get out of this match a little bit early, save some time. We'll be back with our girls' championship match from Motion Plus Lanes for the 2015 Motive Top Gun Invitational in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Success has to be earned. Earned through hard work and dedication. There is no easy road. There are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, get focused, and outwork your competition. Go earn it. Get motivated.
We're continuing getting things started here for our girls' championship, Motive Top Gun Invitational 2015 edition. Brittany Burgess against Erica Jonnet, and we're bringing you this match without any commercial interruption, thanks to our friends here at Time Warner Cable Sports Channel and Motion Plus Lanes. And you can see here a little difference in the fill percentage, and we'll get into that shortly, why it's so different. Brittany Burgess finished in second with only a 75.6% fill rate as compared to Erica Jonnet's over 85% fill rate. But in District 7, in the Fond du Lac area where Brittany bowls, they bowl on challenge patterns. They don't bowl on house shots. So obviously the tougher the lane pattern, the harder it is going to be to consistently fill frames. But if you're tripping 4 pins like Brittany is right there.
And we know Brittany can strike because she has authored a 300 game and a 760 series. And bowling on tougher patterns are not designed to embarrass the bowler, but to make the bowler better.
And this is her 3rd year in a row making the Top Gun Invitational Finals. She finished second to Alyssa Athis in 2012, and now our defending champion here, looking for 2 in a row for Brittany Burgess.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a good match. 2 kind of evenly matched players. Erica, high game of 290 with a high series of 772.
Yeah, and Erica coming off of 257 last game. You got to figure she's the early favorite.
Well, she is familiar with the lane pattern. Threw a lot of good shots last game, but lo and behold, up pops the 610, just a touch high.
Yeah, this is a lane she was having problems coming high on. She did get a lucky break to trip out, a 4-7 in game 1 on this pair when she came a little high. Now she's going to move a little farther left on the approach. Use the whole lane to hook it over, and that's got to hold on. That's too much. And once again, with this lane pattern, if you start it too direct at a certain part of the lane, it seems to overhook.
Yeah, that's where shooting a spare ball direct can sometimes take that overhook out of play. But, you know, I mean, the kids that are exposed to the challenge patterns, sport-type patterns, are just better prepared for collegiate competition, because I don't think there's any collegiate programs that don't bowl on challenging patterns.
Oh, they're all bowling on sport-type patterns, and another trip 4 for Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany's going to adjust off of that. You can't live by trip 4 pins alone and get away with it for long.
Well, and, you know, with the pedigree with her dad, Brian, he's in the back watching right now. I know they were talking lane strategy before this match started. You know that they're going to keep talking and keep finding a way to be solid in the pocket instead of high in the pocket.
Right, and, you know, it takes good roll to trip a 4-pin. I mean, I'm sure Brian tripped a few 4-pins in his day, even though he's got a little more power than the average bear.
Yeah, I saw recently on Facebook his son posted that Brian had a 300 game during league, one of the many he's had in his career. So a little high there for Brittany, coming in with a 3-6-10, and this is no gimme on this lane condition.
Right, so she'll go cross lane. Try and throw it as straight as possible. Kind of finishes similarly to Brian as well, with her trail leg down on the ground.
Not the textbook way to make that 3-6-10, but gets the ball left side of the 3-pin and lets the 3 do all the work on the 6 and 10. Gives herself a 19-pin lead, but we know Erica Janet can string strikes together and get herself back in this match in a hurry.
She's got good speed, good roll on that ball. Yeah, I mean, if she gets striking, I mean, it's going to take an over 200 game to win this match.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Both these ladies struck all day long. Got themselves into the number 1 and 2 overall seeds coming into this final match.
Doesn't take any time, gets on the approach, sets herself, and lets it flicker, and a great shot off her hand.
Yeah, and that just shows with both these young ladies, you don't need the 500 rev rate to get all 10 pins to go flying back into the pit. I mean, Erica's rev rate is probably right around 300 with a 16 or 17 mile an hour ball speed, and she had no problem taking all 10 pins straight back on that shot.
That's right around where Norm Duke's rev rate is, and I mean, when you're a great shot maker, you don't need the high rev rate. And that crept up a little high. That's 3 out of 4 trip 4s. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, and those were pretty high flush with that angle that she's using. Not very steep getting into the pocket, and 2-pin just does enough work on the 4 to knock it down.
Did I hear Brian in the background? Honey, bump in a little, please.
Not quite sure on that, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some hand gestures made as things went on.
And she can openers the rack for a double, and she is sending a message to her opponent.
Yes, indeed. Keeps her up by 19 pins right now, but Erica Jonnett's still working on a string of strikes, a double of her own, looking to extend it to 3 in a row. You can see right there, a lot of just business-like right now for Brittany Burgess. Just, there's a job to be done, and until I win this match, I'm going to keep my focus and not get too emotionally involved.
This is her time to be serious and focus on the job at hand. She needs to make 10 great shots. Both girls do. Yeah, we are seeing some serious playing being done here.
Yeah, right back and forth, down to 9 pins the lead for Brittany Burgess, but Erica Jonnett can take the lead by a pin if she can strike here in the 6th frame. Once again, I want to thank our friends here at Time Warner Cable Sports Channel for letting us bring you this girls' championship match without commercial interruption. Also, thanks to our great hosts here today, Carrie and Jeannie Catania here at Motion Plus Lanes. Second year in a row we've had the Top Gun Invitational here, and nothing but nice things said by the bowlers and their parents all day today.
She gets a good break there on an errant shot. Leaves only the 2-pin. And that's it, Phil. No one can throw perfect shot after perfect shot. You need to get that break now and then, still make the spare, and refocus for the next time.
Absolutely, and covers that 2-pin up nicely. Keeps herself within about a mark here, but Brittany Burgess right now stepping up. Double strike doubles so far, looking for 3 in a row. And that's one thing I noticed all day during the qualifying and semifinal rounds. She was finding a way to stay out of trouble if she was making a mistake. It was basically single pin leaves. And she was having no problem picking up. And a little bit weak there, just leaving that 10-pin.
Yeah, it looked like she kind of got it into the oil a little bit earlier, and the ball just didn't come off the pattern quite strong enough. A little bit of deflection, as you see there. And her other strikes did not deflect. They kind of drove in a little steep as she took the 4s.
Yeah, it's just amazing that little 1-inch difference where the ball is at on the pocket makes such a huge influence on how the ball drives through, where the ball deflects to if it does deflect.
Yeah,
it shows you that 3-pound, 8-ounce pins can still do a lot of damage on a 15-pound bowling ball.
Oh, yes, it can.
As she tickles down.
Yeah, just enough.
Want to thank you again for all your support, Joey, with BPSMilwaukee.com and Bowlers Pro Shop. And always specials going on at the shop. People should stop in, say hi, get that equipment checked out, get it cleaned up, all kinds of things, and a big break.
She leaves the 4-pin, so yeah, she's kind of flirting with coming a little high pocket on a lot of shots. And I mean, she's got good roll on the ball. You'd think she could move in, say, 2 boards with her feet, maybe 1 with her target, and just kind of create a little bit more left to right motion. And Ryan's good at that.
And I think it would be a little easier for her right now, especially with no other right-handers on her pair. She knows she's the only one influencing her own shot.
But it is easy for us to critique since we're sitting back here and they're out there on the lanes.
Yeah, but they know a lot more at their age about making the adjustments on the lane and making bigger adjustments than we ever did at their age.
Well, we didn't have lane oil transition.
Yeah.
We weren't taught transition. We were taught accuracy and good timing. And equipment played a very, very small part. Now the game is so much more complex, where the kids need to understand equipment, surface changes, oil transition, oil dissipation. Spare shooting is an art now. Because,
yes.
I mean, there's times you should use a spare ball. There's times you're better off not.
Erica stays with her strike ball, going cross lane at the 4-7 to pick it up. And
athletes of today should be better than athletes of 50 years ago. You see it in all sports.
Oh, absolutely. They're not running 11-second 100-meter dashes, and they're not running 5-minute miles anymore.
Well, you and I might.
I'd love to be able to run
we're in a car.
Yeah. And, Erica's just having problems all of a sudden. Comes up high on 2 consecutive shots.
Well, she's using Storm's strongest ball, dull cover, and she may be hitting the same target she was hitting earlier, but there's no more oil in that spot. So she will have to make a move. And I always kid you that lefties don't always move quickly enough, as most righties don't, but she has to now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, I've noticed, even nights if I'm at AMF Bolero and I'm the only lefty on my side, I've still noticed I'm making 2 and 3 board moves during the night. I had a situation at Riviera Lanes a couple of Thursday nights ago where there were 3 lefties on the pair with me. So
and
4 altogether.
Did you pack up and leave, or did you stay and compete?
No, I stayed and competed, and I actually was high lefty out of the 4 on the pair, so I was pretty happy with shooting 680 that night.
So what's the most lefties you've ever bowled with on a pair?
Well, back in the day, Gloria Bear used to run the State Left-Handers Championship.
I remember
so back
that.
in the 80s and 90s, there were quite a few times where there were 4 or 5 lefties on a pair, and that's all obviously that were bowling. So, yeah, you were making large moves back then.
Was that pre-reactive resin?
That was pre-reactive. No, that was after reactive resin. There were a couple of years. So, still there was much less oil in the lane than there was now. But you were still going through transition. But now, yeah, the most I've had is 4 lefties on my pair. So in a 5-man per team league.
Well, we got a 12-pin differential here. So getting back to the match, as we floated away for a while there. I mean, it's still anybody's game.
Well, the difference right now is Erica Janet missed the 6-10. She slid behind the 6 in the second frame. That's your difference right now. She converts that spare. It's pretty much an even match, and both bowlers staying clean the rest of the way through.
Right, and Brittany making a few difficult spares.
Yeah, she's definitely not making this championship match easy on herself. That time where the ball was facing up on the pocket earlier, it seemed to roll a little bit earlier. So maybe on her move, she found a drier part of the lane, and it's causing the ball to lose energy.
And we know this pair's not evenly matched.
It needs to hold on.
Yeah, good spare conversion. Well, that lane played a little oilier. I mean, we saw that from Billy Hibbert struggle a little bit on the left lane.
Well, both bowlers maximum right now, 222, but that means all strikes the rest of the way out in the 9th and 10th for Erica Janet, and in the 10th frame for Brittany Burgess. So anybody's match getting into the last frame and a half. She kind of fell off to the left on that one and paid the full penalty.
The price. Yeah, you fall left, the ball normally goes right because you'll tend to pull it across your body a little bit.
And yeah, you can just see right there that ball, that indicator's at about 42 feet down the lane. That ball was already rolling strong and no stopping it going high in the pocket.
So she'll try and take one because you're not going to make this too often.
No. I think this is the only big split like that that's never been made on PBA Tour. I know they've made 7-10s and 4-6 7-10s. I've never seen a 4-6 made that I can remember.
Yeah,
So.
Walter Ray made the only big 4.
Mm-hmm. Mark Roth, Jess Stayrook, and John Mazza, the 3 bowlers that made 7-10s. That's funny because 2 of the bowlers were left-handed. The 3 that have made 7-10s.
Well, lefties are better.
Oh, and a big break there to try to keep a little pressure on Brittany Burgess, but maximum score 199 here for Erica Janet.
So if she catches the next one, she will force Brittany to mark?
She would force Brittany to mark.
And that's all you can ask.
With good count on the first ball, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, she's been down in the match, but at least if you can force your opponent to have to mark, and we all know marks don't happen every frame.
Actually, let me recheck my math because I think your 199 would be it. She went 9 miss would be a tie. So yeah, so a mark would be needed by Brittany Burgess if Erica Janet can get this last strike here in the 10th frame. Ooh, I'd like a tie. I'd like a little single ball roll off for a little extra excitement.
Oh, of course.
We saw that on the PBA Tour during the Players' Championship final match between Ronnie Russell and Parker Bone III, with the lefty coming out on top on that sudden death roll off. And a huge wall shot.
3 great shots.
And now, yeah, any mark.
So 199 for Erica. I mean, she had 2 turkeys during that game. 1 lone strike, so 7 strikes. Yet Brittany so far has only 4.
So right now, 9 count for sure is needed to make things a little bit easier. Strike definitely locks it up, and you can't throw it any better than that in the clutch.
10 back. Dad taught her well.
Yes, indeed. And our first back-to-back MOTIV Top Gun Invitational winner, with Brittany Burgess taking home that title. And unfortunately, being a senior at Fond du Lac High School this year, she's not going to have the opportunity to defend and go for 3 in a row, but still a pretty amazing achievement. 3 years on TV, a second and 2 firsts in this Top Gun Invitational for Brittany.
And Brittany would like to thank Norb Wetzel for drilling her bowling balls, and to Dad Brian and Mom Wendy Burgess.
Oh.
Comes a little high there, but again, with a spare, she can finish with 212.
Yeah, doesn't matter. She's taking home that MOTIV bowling ball, championship medal from Trophy Athletic, and the $150 Visa gift card thanks to our friends at MOTIV Bowling. We're going to let Brittany shoot up this final spare. Joe Serrano will be back from Motion Plus Lanes in just a moment to wrap up this entire Top Gun Invitational tournament. Make sure you stay tuned.
Success has to be earned. Earned through hard work and dedication. There is no easy road. There are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time, get focused, and outwork your competition. Go earn it. Get motivated.
Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Bluemont Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Well, Joey, great bowling here today again. MOTIV Top Gun Invitational. 2 great champions crowned. Brent Boho for the boys, and our first 2-time titleist, Brittany Burgess for the girls.
Yeah, a lot of the boys are glad to see Brent Boho graduate so they don't have to face him again. But, he won a tightly contested match. And Brittany, what can we say? Brian and Wendy both taught her well. Great shot making.
Yeah, great bowling. Once again, thanks to our hosts here at Motion Plus Lanes for everything they do for the youth bowlers. Thanks again to MOTIV for sponsoring this Top Gun event. Hope to do more with them in the future. And we're not done with the bowling here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Coming back on our next show with more exciting action. For my friend Joe Serrar at Bowlers Pro Shop, I'm Phil Bridlow. And parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life. And we'll see you on that next show.
Yeah.